evening, everybody. Welcome to the channel. If you've not been here before, my name is Elizabeth, and I am your friendly hillbilly host. And we have Sweet Tater here, who is my precious little mommy, as my co-host. And this is Hillbilly Crime. How is everybody? Come on in, Indie Girl 57, honey. You come on right on back anytime. Your seat is always saved. Look there, we got us a new YouTube member. Yay! All right, yes, we have memberships. So anybody who wants to grab you a membership, every once in a while, we have people who gift memberships. So if you can't afford to become a member, don't worry about it. Anytime you see someone gift some memberships, go up there and hit that join button and see if you get one. YouTube kind of gives them out however they give them out, randomly, I guess. But that way you can have a chance to be a member. If you are a member and you have not sent me an email yet requesting the Discord link, send me an email. hillbillycrime@gmail.com, and we will send you out your Discord link. All right, how is everybody this evening? Staying warm, hopefully. Allegedly Lisa. Great minds think alike. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is warm. Please hit the like button on your way in. Welcome to the family. Let's see, Naxoraptor. Did I say that right? We're glad you're here. Absolutely. Come on in. Oh, it's 9:55 a.m. there. That's so cool. So cool. Jessica, I'm being a sorry tale this evening and snuggled under the covers in my bed to watch.
Betty, I want to be in mine.
No better place to be, Miss Jessica. I've got 2 heating pads underneath my sheet that I sleep on, so we stay warm. Me and the dogs. Hello, Sweet Tater.
Hello.
Right. Awesome. There's another member. Awesome. Awesome. I don't know. Does that mean that you were gifted a membership? Is that how it pops up if you're gifted? I'm not sure. DC, let us know. All right. So I had all kinds of people send me a video today about some Kentucky police officers. I've actually had a couple videos. We're going to watch a couple of them, and let me get over here and pull this other thing back up real fast. I sent it. We've about got our shop, our Hillbilly Crime shop, ready to roll. I got my oldest boy working on it, so we will have that going here pretty soon. All right, there's a couple stories here that we're going to look at this evening. There's an app called Cop Blaster, and I guess it is dedicated to all of these police officers, or well, not just police officers. They had prosecutors. They've got a little thing on there where you can look at the prosecutors and stuff too. Give me just a second here. I think I pulled up the wrong one. All right. Mapping police violence. Let's see. I don't know if this is the one. Sorry, y'all. I thought I was better prepared. London City Council had meetings today on their officer issues pew pew that happened. WLWT posted about it. There were supposed to be 3 meetings that were held today. Here we go. Here they are. Let me share my screen here. Being a little bit slow.
Well, I got all my doggies inside.
Well, good.
And have you seen that flu virus? I mean, that bird virus? That's why
No, what is it?
eggs is going to go way, way up. But now, when I went to the grocery yesterday, they were not so awful high. But it's a virus that birds get and chickens get it, and maybe dairy. I'm not sure. You need to look it up and read it. I read it today.
Okay, I will look about that.
That humans
Okay,
more
so
than
this is
likely won't get it. So sorry.
That's okay. You're good. I think I got too much open here. It's lagging real bad. Let me get back over here.
It's me talking too much. Well, anyway.
Go ahead and talk.
Well, so eggs are going to be pricey because of that. And probably chicken, I'm thinking. But humans won't get it, so we're all safe. I worried about these birds I'm feeding, and I feed them out here on the corner of my porch sometimes, and they poo-poo, on your porch. And I thought, oh Lord, I'm going to get some kind of disease. But so I went and read about it, and humans don't get it. I guess they could, but it's never. No, but I don't know that anybody's ever had that. Are you ready, Elizabeth? Yeah. Okay. I was going to tell a story.
I'm trying. You go right ahead, Mommy. Go right ahead.
Well, when I was a little girl talking about birds, we had a front porch. Now, this front porch was up high because the house was on a slope. It sloped down because, if you build your house sloping down like that, then you don't get that water running back down on you, so that was old timey ways. Okay. And so we had a swing. I guess we were just gifted and had this swing. And so we'd sit out there in this swing and talk and carry on. You know what I'm saying? And so this bird was trying to build a nest. And so we kept running it off. My mom did. I didn't. Are you ready, Elizabeth?
No, go ahead. Finish.
Okay. So a bird came. It finally made its mark. I don't know. She must not have been looking for a few days or something. And it got little birds in it, And so we went out there wanting, of course, we had a fit. They had bugs too. We got lice, You didn't keep them. There was little bugs that the birds had that bite you. And so she took the bird's nest. Oh, so we was sitting out there, and lo and behold, there was a snake up there. And I mean, the porch wasn't very big. So we got the bird's nest down, and we took it over and put it in the rose bush at the edge of the garden. And so the mommy would come, or whatever. Well, Dad burned that snake went over there and ate every one of them. He knew where we had taken him. He did. He was a bad boy.
He was smart.
Uh-huh.
He was smart.
So I have sort of a natural protection. My disease scope goes up. I get the disease scope out when there's a lot of birds around. Looking at they're going to give me. Now, chickens is having that disease.
Yeah, they
I
do.
just thought I'd tell you because you got them two out back.
Well, thank you. Yes, I've got 2 roaming chickens that I'm been feeding. All right. Well, this first article we're going to look at, it says Kentucky State Trooper indicted for theft, abuse of public trust. Lexington, Kentucky, a grand jury indicted a Kentucky State Trooper on May 21st for theft by unlawful taking and abuse of public trust. According to an indictment between June 17th, 2023 and February 18th, 2024, Trooper Daniel Forbus allegedly took movable property that belonged to the state, valued between $10,000 and $1 million. He then allegedly used that property in a personal capacity without permission. A spokesperson with Kentucky State Police said Forbus was originally assigned to Governor Andy Beshear's security team. This is that guy we heard about or read about a few weeks ago. Andy Beshear's security team, but has been transferred to Post 15 in Columbia and placed on paid administrative leave. KSP said Forbus has now been suspended without pay until the end of the internal affairs investigation. This is a concerning situation as the trooper's actions as a member of the executive detail could have negatively impacted the safety of the governor and his family. The Kentucky State Police is committed to upholding the highest standards of professionalism, ethics, and morals in service to the citizens of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Daniel Forbus was assigned to the Executive Security Branch when he unlawfully removed agency ammunition. As soon as KSP leadership was made aware of the alleged incident, Trooper Forbus was transferred to the Columbia Post and placed on paid administrative leave. He has now been suspended without pay, pending the conclusion of the internal affairs investigation. If warranted, additional corrective action will be issued. All right. We know that they probably won't do anything on that. What do you think about that? The fact that that man did all that, Mom. He stole all them. He stole a whole bunch of weapons and ammunition, I reckon,
Oh, I was thinking
from
he
the.
just stole ammunition.
Well, it might have been just ammunition. Maybe it
But
was.
I don't know that it was, but I couldn't figure out what he stole, because they said that might endanger the governor and his family. Well, I don't think that was true. They
I
tried to
didn't
make
think that was true either.
so. At any rate, he took some of the ammunition, and I don't know why he took it. Maybe he thought that they had too much, or maybe he needed it for some reason. It's not any big deal than any other kind of theft. Only for me, I'm very well, I don't know what to say, but at any rate, the only thing that's a big deal to me is that my possibility of weapons, and it for certain was ammunition, and that could be used to hurt people. So what he took is more important to me than the fact that he took it.
Well, I know how expensive ammunition is now. It is really, really expensive. Like you can spend $500 on a couple boxes easy. I'm not sure how much comes in a box or anything like that, but I know that it has gotten very, very expensive. So just the theft at all is concerning. And if if he was willing to steal that, what else has he gotten away with stealing? It's a
Well,
big.
he might have just took 10 bullets. If I don't know how much they are. It could have been almost nothing that he took.
I could have been too, but it said it was between $10,000 and $1 million. So
They don't know how much he stole.
it was somewhere in between there.
Yeah.
Well, let's listen to this other one. It says Kentucky State Police trooper awaiting trial for felony assault is still on the payroll. This was from the Louisville Public Media, December 24th, 2024. So this was just on Christmas Eve. He looks like he's very upset in that picture. Hayden Kilbourne's mugshot, Laurel County Correctional Center. So this must have been in Laurel County. That's the exact same county that the wrong address search warrant fiasco happened. The trooper was nearly fired after allegedly beating a man. A panel of his peers let him keep his job. Hayden Kilbourne is a Kentucky State Police trooper, but he's not on patrol these days. That's because Kilbourne, 26, is under indictment for felony assault and misdemeanor terroristic threatening after he allegedly tased, beat, and threatened to unalive a man during an arrest in Carroll County on July 28th last year. He has pleaded not guilty to the charges. Kentucky State Police Commissioner Philip Burnett wanted to fire Kilbourne just days after the incident, but Kilbourne took the rare step of requesting a hearing before a state police trial board. The trial board, a panel of troopers appointed by the commissioner, decided instead to suspend Kilbourne for 6 months without pay. Now, Kilbourne is back to work in the State Police Technical Services Division in Frankfort, installing equipment in troopers' cruisers or managing records while getting paid more than $67,000 a year as he awaits trial. Kilbourne, who was hired as a state police cadet in August of 2020, did not respond to several requests for comment on this report. No trial date has been set, and the next hearing in his case is scheduled for January 27th. If convicted on the assault charge, he could face up to 10 years in prison. He's not the only Kentucky State Police trooper to face criminal charges in recent years. Robert Moster III was charged with child abuse after he allegedly kicked an 8-year-old in August. His case was dismissed, of course. Daniel Forbus faces felony theft and abuse of public trust charges after he was indicted earlier this year for allegedly stealing $17,000 worth of ammunition, Mom. There you go, $17,000 worth, while working on Governor Andy Beshear's security detail. Jeremy Elliott, Derek Lovett, and Michael Howell were indicted in federal court in 2022 for civil rights violations. Elliott was sentenced to 6 months in prison. Lovett and Howell were acquitted. Elliott took a plea bargain, and the other two took it to trial, and the other two were found not guilty. And Thomas Kazartorski pleaded guilty to perjury after he lied under oath about beating a man with a flashlight in 2020. I don't know why people think that all of these officers or all of these people in the legal community are just all of a sudden going to take their oath seriously. Like most people who get caught with their hand in the cookie jar, most of the time they try and lie out of it. Usually it's only when they're, when they have evidence, to throw in their face to show them, look, we know what you did, is usually in my opinion, that's when people come forward with the truth. More so than not. Kilbourne was also cited by a Somerset police officer in December 2023 for driving 104 miles per hour in a 55 mile per hour zone in Pulaski County. According to the traffic citation, Kilbourne told the officer that he was running late to a doctor's appointment. The case was dismissed last March. Robert Anthony Kidd the man Kilbourne allegedly tased, beat, and threatened to unalive in Carroll County last year, has filed a federal lawsuit against Kilbourne and Jake Noel, another trooper who was at the scene. A July 1st, 24 status report by both sides in the lawsuit said Kilbourne had been offered a plea agreement to resolve his state criminal charges, and that the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of Kentucky also had indicted and indicated an intent to pursue federal charges for the same incident. That's interesting. You don't usually see them file state charges and federal charges. Usually what I've seen them do is they'll file state charges, and then if they get off on the state at the end of the conclusion of their trial, then they'll come back and file federal charges, because that doesn't hit double jeopardy if it's state and federal. It's very confusing for people who may not be familiar with it. But
I hadn't thought about that, the double jeopardy, to get around double jeopardy.
Yeah, as long as it's federal. That's one reason why, if like a presidential pardons, I think, if I'm correct, they only cover like federal crimes. So I don't think a presidential pardon can apply to a state crime. I think it has to be like a governor pardon. You all let me know if I'm wrong on that.
So you're saying that the president can't pardon a speeding ticket?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think they can only do federal charge or federal.
Well, I thought I was funny.
Oh, sorry.
You thought I was serious.
I did. I'm sorry. Okay. Kilbourne's lawyers requested a plea agreement offer that would jointly resolve both the state and federal interest in the same matter, and were awaiting a response, according to the report. A December 2nd status report filed in the lawsuit said negotiations to resolve the state charges are still ongoing. The current state of those negotiations could not be determined. Gabrielle Dudgeon, a spokesperson for the U.S. Attorney's Office in Lexington, said she is not allowed to comment on any potential ongoing investigations. The spokesperson for the State Attorney General's Office, which is prosecuting the criminal charges against Kilbourne, said the office could not discuss the case. The chase. Here's how the events unfolded. According to more than 30 interviews and a review of hundreds of pages of court documents in the Kentucky Center for Investigative Reporting. On that morning in July 2023, 20-year-old Robert Kidd was driving a stolen Buick SUV with Kilbourne and other law enforcement officials giving chase through several counties at speeds sometimes exceeding 100 miles per hour. The vehicle pursuit finally ended near Carrollton when police used a spike strip to deflate the tires on Kidd's car. Kidd then fled through a wooded area. What happened when Kilbourne and Noel caught up to him is a matter of significant dispute. Kidd admits in his federal lawsuit that he ran from the two troopers, but while he was attempting to escape, the lawsuit states Kilbourne made multiple threats towards Kidd, including threatening to unalive him and telling him that he was Fucked when Kilbourne caught him. After Kidd stopped and raised his hands to surrender, Kilbourne pew-pewed Kidd in the back with a taser, according to the lawsuit. And when Kidd fell to the ground, his lawsuit claims Kilbourne struck him 8 times with his baton and again threatened to unalive him. Kidd suffered a broken front tooth, lacerations, contusions, and swelling on his head, face, arms, and body, received approximately 6 or 7 stitches to his upper lip, and suffered and continues to suffer severe emotional trauma and mental anguish, according to the lawsuit. He's probably traumatized. Noel did nothing to intervene, according to Kid's lawsuit. Instead, Noel stood by with his taser drawn on Kid and provided cover for Kilbourne while Kilbourne beat Kid with his baton, the lawsuit states. Kilbourne's version of events contained in his response to Kid's lawsuit is that he used just enough force to subdue Kid and take him into custody. Kilbourne admitted that he used a taser and baton strikes, but only when Kid fled from police and actively resisted lawful arrest. Once Kid complied with troopers' commands to place his hands behind his back and was handcuffed, Kilbourne said in his response to the lawsuit he stopped all use of force. Kid's own actions caused his injuries, Kilbourne said. The arrest was recorded on state police body cameras, but the footage is not yet a matter of public record. Citing the pending criminal prosecution against Kilbourne, the state police denied a request by Kentucky CIR for a copy of the footage. Following the traffic stop and his arrest, Kid was charged with multiple offenses, including fleeing from police, criminal mischief, 3 counts of wanton endangerment, and receiving stolen property. Last June, he pleaded guilty to those 6 charges and was sentenced to 3 years in prison. He was released from custody in September and currently is under supervision in Oldham County, according to state police. Kid could not be reached for comment. On September 18, 2023, Kilbourne was indicted by a Carroll County grand jury on the charges of second-degree assault and third-degree terroristic threatening. State police said that in response to his involvement in the encounter with Kid, Noel was required to receive 8 hours of remedial training. Noel declined to comment for this report. To the trial board. 5 days after the incident, State Police Commissioner Philip Burnett notified Kilbourne that he intended to fire him. Kilbourne then turned to the State Police Trial Board. Trial boards review cases involving officers accused by the commissioner of wrongdoing and who demand a hearing. The board can impose punishment ranging from a reprimand to a 6-month suspension to dismissal from the agency. The trial board consists of the commissioner and a panel of 10 state police officers named by the commissioner. The commissioner then designates 3 to 7 of those officers to hear the evidence in a particular case. Nothing like policing the police. The trial board in Kilbourne's case consisted of 7 officers. After hearing on February 1st, the trial board suspended Kilbourne for 6 months rather than firing him as Burnett had recommended. Burnett had no legal right to appeal the trial board's decision. That's awful. Kilbourne could have done so, but chose not to. Burnett did not respond to several requests from Kentucky CIR for comment. Lexington attorney Scott Miller, representing Kilbourne, declined to discuss the trial board proceedings or Kilbourne's criminal case. They don't never want to comment. After the trial board hearing concluded, Kilbourne served his 6-month suspension. At his request, the trial board's proceedings were conducted in a closed session, of course, and details of what happened are not yet available to the public. Kentucky CIR spoke with the 7 trial board members, all of whom declined to discuss Kilbourne's case. State police trial board hearings are relatively infrequent. The agency told Kentucky CIR that there have only been 2 trial board proceedings, one of which was Kilbourne's, since January 1st of 2020. What's the use of even having one then? In the other case, the trial board voted in July 2023 to fire Trooper Jared Perkins for dishonesty and insubordination. Overturning a commissioner's recommendation, as the trial board did in Kilbourne's case, also is unusual. according to several criminal justice authorities familiar with the process. Richard Sanders, who served as state police commissioner from 2016 to 2019 and is now chief of the Jeffersontown Police Department, told Kentucky CIR that he recalled only a few trial board cases during his tenure and that he could not think of a case when a trial board overturned the commissioner's recommendation. Not that I can remember, Sanders said. What do you think about that?
Well, somebody stole something.
No. He beat a guy up.
I know, but they was chasing him.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So why were they chasing the fella?
Oh, they told a whole litany of stuff there. Let's go see. Let me run back up there. Said that they got him. Let me go back up to the chase. Okay. He was driving a stolen Buick. And so he was driving a stolen car. That we know of. And I don't know what else they said that they charged him with. But, even...
But
Go ahead.
Okay. But, to me, when you drive down the road that fast, just like we had one over here, I think, across the mountain, and you drive that fast chasing somebody, you run the risk of killing a bunch of people. And it's just not hardly worth it over a stolen car.
Well, a stolen anything, really.
Look
at this. Look at the weed eater. That guy.
It's an overreaction to a weed eater. This is an overreaction to a theft that you endanger that many people on the highway. They're going to take pictures of the license plate, but if it was stolen, that wasn't going to do them any good. And you know that whoever is driving that car is going to turn around and do something else. So it's not like he's really going to get away. You might even have pictures of him. You just, you never know. But I think police ought not be chasing people.
Well, we haven't covered it on this channel yet, but a little girl who works at my doctor's office, her mom had taken one of those taxi things to her doctor's appointment in Virginia. And they were on their way home, and they were on the highway, and they had a couple of people who were running from the law. I think they were even running from like North Carolina.
No, they're coming from Kentucky, weren't they?
It happened over here in Virginia. Were they coming from Kentucky?
I thought they'd stolen stuff at Walmart.
Yeah. So they had shoplifted something in Walmart. That's the story that I understand. This is the way that I understand it. And they took off. Well, the cops took off chasing them. Regardless of where they were coming from, they ended up across the mountain over here. And there is dash cam footage. I don't know if we want to show it or not, because it was my friend's mom who was in that vehicle. And so her and her little taxi, the guy that took her to her doctor's appointment, had done it several times. He was her regular driver. And they were on their way home from the doctor's appointment. And this car who had shoplifted something was driving up the highway, running from the law. The law was behind them. And so they go across the median. They go across the median and they start driving, however fast they were going, in the wrong direction. right? They hit her mommy's car head on, and it unalived her, and it unalived, and I don't know if it unalived the driver or not, but I know it unalived her mom. And there's dash cam footage of the police during that chase as that car goes across the median and starts running in the wrong direction. The cop car also crosses the median, and the police car is driving just as fast in the wrong direction, on the wrong side of the road. Now, do police chases cause these kinds of accidents? If they would have let them go and quit chasing them? I don't know. I don't have the answers to that. What do you guys think?
Is anybody else going to talk?
Well, they're on their comments. So we'll look and see what they say. All right. While you're listening, help me out. Tell me your favorite phrases or words Elizabeth or Sweet Tater says are a common saying in Kentucky. I'm using AI to write a theme song for Hillbilly Crime. Thank you, Mama Duck.
Oh, well, lordy.
Tim Collins says cops need testing frequently. No doubt, a test may not be good enough. All right, let's see.
I don't know. And maybe it's just we expect bipolar people or something, people that can be two different people. We want them to be nice and help old people across the street, or, I swear. I was going to the extreme. Or do we want them out catching criminals? You know what I'm saying? How many perfect people are you going to find? Yeah. I guess it must be a really hard job. But I do think they need to do more screening, and they need to educate them better and have opportunities for them to learn how to be a police. Well, not opportunities, they should make them.
Yeah.
And that should include stuff.
Go ahead.
They well, I forget what I was saying. I was reading that about the speeding tickets.
Oh. That's all right, Mommy. I do it all the time. Don't feel bad. Don't you worry. All right, let's read this one.
I think I was just talking about how hard it would be to pick out good policemen.
Yeah.
Because you want them to be so many different people.
Yeah, that's true. We do kind of they have a very hard job, but that's part of the job, like elected officials. If you don't have thick skin, you might not want to put your name on a ballot because you're going to have criticism. You can't please everybody, but you need to be trying to do your best and not committing crimes. All right, like this one right here. Former North Kentucky cop who worked in school admits sending explicit messages in undercover sting. This was published February 24th of last year, 23. I guess that'd be almost 2 years ago now. A former Northern Kentucky police officer admitted in court earlier this month to initiating sexually explicit conversations online with a girl he believed to be 15 years old. Court records show. That girl turned out to be an undercover officer, according to Boone County Circuit Court filings. In March of last year, 30-year-old Ryan Hill was indicted on one count of prohibited use of electronic communications to procure a minor for sexual activity, court records show. Hill, a former officer with the Augusta Police Department, pleaded guilty on February 9th to an amended charge of unlawful transaction with a minor, according to court records. Now, that's what that business owner here in Letcher County was charged with. And he got off with no punishment whatsoever. They gave him a 5-year sentence and recommended that the judge accept house arrest and work release. And the judge accepted it and signed off on it right here. Prosecutors have recommended a sentence of 4 years probation that would require Hill to complete a SMEX offender treatment program. In a criminal complaint, a Boone County Sheriff's Office detective said Hill, via the social media platform Whisper, described in detail the sexual acts he wished to perform on the young girl. He asked for nude photos, even though he was told the girl was a sophomore in high school, according to the complaint. Hill also made the statement that the female was nearly half his age. The complaint states, adding he even admitted during a conversation that he was a police officer. Conversations occurred between December 24th, 2021 and December 27th, 2021. Hill was actually chatting with an undercover task force officer from Minnesota, the sheriff's office said, adding authorities in Minnesota alerted detectives in Boone County to Hill's online activity. Hill was living in Hebron at the time. The detectives then conducted their own investigation. Hill was one of 3 Augusta police officers assigned to Augusta Independent Schools. He began his assignment at the school in August of 21. He was fired on the same day as his arrest in January 22, so he wasn't there very long. Since he'd only been with the department less than a year, Hill was in a probationary period as detailed in his contract, meaning he could be fired without cause or recourse. Hill's termination letter reads. Hill's personnel file, obtained through a Kentucky Open Records Act request, shows that he worked as a Kenton County police officer from 2016 to 2020. Before that, Hill worked as a dispatcher for Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky International Airport. Hill's attorney has yet to respond to an email from the Inquirer seeking comment. Court records show Hill is scheduled to appear before Judge Richard Brueggemann for sentencing on April 5th. So that guy is in some trouble, I think. Now, there was something that went around. Let me pull it up here. Go ahead and say what you think about that one, Mommy. What do you think about people who work in our schools as resource officers? You know, that is one thing that predators do, is they try to get jobs where they have access to children and vulnerable people, vulnerable populations. So you would think that in the hiring process, there would be some kind of something that would try to wean those people out. Don't you think?
Well, I guess there is a certain profile for people that will prey on children. So that's the only way you'd ever weed them out, is if you had some way, or there was some sort of a trigger where they didn't get hired in the first place. You know, it's such an easy place, you know, particularly if you have a lot of smooth and crews about you to be able to work in schools for one thing or the other. And that's where they want to be.
Yeah.
So they'd be around young people. To me, it's one of the lower, to me, it's akin to murder.
Okay, well, now
because
this
you
right
are
here.
murdering a person's soul.
Yeah, it is. Can you see that? Can you see
I
that?
can. It says news at 6
Okay.
p.m. News at
I was just making sure that it came through. You guys, look at this.
Good evening. I'm Megan Mannering. Larry has the night off. A Boyle County dementia patient faces several charges, including shoplifting and public intoxication, stemming from an incident at a Walmart from back in October. But his attorney claims his client was confused. And after seeing the surveillance video, he's now calling for the arresting officer to be charged. LEX 18's Kaylee Randall sat down with the man's defense attorney for an exclusive look at the footage. And this LEX 18 investigates. And we want to warn you, some of you may find the video graphic and disturbing.
Heartbreaking.
So here he comes.
And he's in the gray zip up.
Yes, this is John Hardwick.
On Tuesday, October 15th, 66-year-old John Hardwick and his wife went to Walmart in Danville for a quick shopping trip. Watch what happens about 15 or so minutes after he tried to buy beer, not realizing he didn't have his ID. He followed the cashier to customer service where police showed up. I sat down with Hardwick's attorney, who explained Hardwick has dementia and was confused by the situation.
And at this point, does he understand what's happening?
Not really. I mean, according to his wife, he sees the beer, and you'll see him retrieve the beer here, and he very politely, nicely.
Ephraim Helton says the video shows while speaking to a Walmart loss prevention employee, Hardwick places the beer in his cart and then places it back on the table several times. Again, Helton explains not understanding what's going on.
There's no effort to leave Walmart. There's no effort to run with this. And he's following all of the directions of loss prevention. He's not throwing his arms up in the air. He's not causing a scene.
As you can see, an officer reaches for his handcuffs to try to arrest Hardwick, but that's when things escalate.
He doesn't understand what's going on. Slam his face into the register. Attempt at a chokehold. Throw him to the ground. Watch while he's down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
According to a citation, officers were flagged down by Walmart staff for Hardwick being under the influence and trying to steal beer while having the odor of an alcoholic beverage coming from him. The citation also reads, Hardwick grabbed 2 cases of beer and then tried to leave the store.
You've seen this. There's no stealing of beer. He's not under the influence.
The citation also states Officer Godby attempted to place his hands behind his back. Above refused and tensed up, having to be assisted to the prone position.
That's not being assisted to a prone position. That's being thrown to a concrete floor at 66 years of age. And then he was struck 6 times.
After being arrested, Helton says Danville jail staff refused to admit Hardwick because they claimed he was in a clear delusional state. So he was sent to a local hospital. We reached out for a comment from the Danville Police Department, but have not heard back.
Patient has history of dementia and appears to be confused. The same officer that wrote that he was under the influence of alcohol tells the admissions people and the nursing staff that he's confused.
Hardwick faces several charges, including alcohol intoxication, shoplifting, and resisting arrest. For now, Helton is trying to pursue charges against one of the officers, who he believes used excessive force on the 66-year-old.
I think it's appalling that you have a 66-year-old man face down on the ground and you are striking him 6 times. He's defenseless. His hands were behind his back. He's handcuffed. It is totally unnecessary. That is police brutality.
In Boyle County.
And there were 3 officers there. 3 officers. One thing that I don't agree with that they do is they pile on them, and that's how so many of them end up passing away, because they can't breathe. They end up, you've got 3 grown men's body weight on top of you. What do you think about that one, Zelmy?
Well, it's just a lot of brutality, I don't know what people are thinking of. I mean, I guess the man was intoxicated. I guess he did have dementia. But he would have been a staggering around, falling down drunk. He wasn't going to hurt you. You know what I'm saying? If he resisted a little bit, that's not the same thing as kicking your shin or spitting in your face or something like that. So they took it as aggression. They just were not very well educated again. They didn't know what kind of signs to look for.
Yep, I agree. It's education, it's training. So let's see. Everybody's saying pretty much the same thing. Tim Collins, they should be fired and kicked out of law enforcement. Absolutely. This video, somebody had sent it to me today, and the McCoys, the Hatfield and McCoys, the McCoy man shared this, but his kind of ends where it actually goes on a little bit longer, and I found it on Shotgun Shane's page. And so we're gonna just watch the trooper part and let you guys see it. But it's just, these are 3 Kentucky State Police troopers. And it really gives you a great, wonderful look at the attitude, the entitlement, and the personality that we end up facing in a traffic stop, y'all.
Morgan Branch. I got my children car. You better back.
I don't
the
care.
fuck.
You better back
my door up.
Don't tell me what
The
fucking
door.
done. I run the stop.
You better get out my fucking face. My children are in the car. I can't. This is a standard with no e-brake. I ain't doing anything wrong. What the fuck is this? You will not take my phone. This is a normal traffic violation, and you are in denial of rights under the color of law.
Put your finger in my
I am buckled. I am no threat to you. You will. Back the fuck up. Get your superintendent now. This is denial of rights under the color of law. My vehicle will drive off.
Put the emergency brake on.
Ma'am, you will get your lieutenant right now. The emergency brakes don't work. I said that 5 times.
Look at me.
Get your lieutenant now.
We don't have a lieutenant out.
My kids are in this car. There's no e-brake on it. I'm not, and I am recording this entire interaction.
We are too.
I went and got my children fucking McDonald's.
Okay. Why are you screaming at us?
She's screaming at me. She came up nasty as hell.
Okay, I said, did you not see the lights? Is what I said.
And I pulled into here.
You went
Good
in
for
here
you.
pretty recklessly with children in the car.
I am not reckless as hell. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. And this is a normal traffic stop. You were a snotty girl. This is the normal traffic stop. You are all, yes.
Ultimate interaction that you have this lovely state trooper, Christian Mitchell, from the Kentucky State Police, really acting really crazy on this lady, calling her the B word and all this stuff right in front of her kids. And I really do feel like if these other 2 officers weren't there, she might would have did something really bad to that lady. But on top of that, bro, they really just bully on this lady for no reason at all. And I ain't saying, man, I'll never go to Kentucky.
Yes,
Have you provided your driver's license?
I provided my social, absolutely. I have registration. This is a normal traffic stop, and you are in violation, denial of rights under the color of law, in which I will prosecute you and your agency. Yes, ma'am, I will. Don't think my fucking family ain't lawyers. No, ma'am. No, sir. I am not. You all are out of control. Absolutely out of control. This is a normal traffic stop. Please get my stuff. Write me my ticket for my false insurance.
You shut up. Tell me what quit doing, all right? Because I'm getting pissed off. You don't want me to get pissed off, all right? So I need your name, and I need your date of birth, and I need it right fucking now.
Morgan Branch, 11/9/1999. Please shut my door. Paige. Shut my door. You have woken up my children. No.
So,
Well, it brings back memories. I've been in that, maybe not in as bad a situation she's in, but I've been in similar ones where I should have kept my mouth shut.
because they just cuss you like a dog. When they all circled me down there at the fire department that night, it was a herd mentality. They had me backed up against the fire department garage door, and they just circled me. And as soon as one would start cussing me and calling me the awfulest names you ever heard of, then this other one would start screaming, and then another one would start screaming and cussing and calling me names, and then this one would start, and then this one over here came. I mean, and they just kept getting closer and closer and closer, until they had you pinned in, and you're just being screamed at and cussed and called names. I mean, what do they expect people to do? And then they want to arrest you. They didn't arrest me that night, but they ended up 6 months later coming back and arresting me. But that's how they do. That right there, you all just saw a perfect example. And those are state police officers right there. They're supposed to be the most educated. They're supposed to be the most professional. They're supposed to be the cream of the crop and the best of the best. Well, if that's the best of Kentucky, we're in trouble, y'all.
Well, where did that happen at?
I don't know. It was in Kentucky, though. Those were 3 Kentucky State Police. Sad. Very, very sad. Jessica Jackson. Who in the heck in the world is not going to fight for air if they can't breathe? That's what happened to that. That's what happened to that man, George Floyd. That cop had those cops. I mean, I don't care what he did. He didn't deserve to be done the way that he was. Nobody does. And I know police have a really hard job. You got to try and stay professional. You got to try. I mean, our police officers should have more patience than the average man, because you are going to be dealing with people who are on substances, or who may be drinking, or maybe have dementia. Dementia is a lot different than somebody being intoxicated. And they ought to be able to recognize mental health crisis. That man wasn't a danger to him. It wasn't like he was,
what's wrong?
It wasn't like he was a danger. I can understand people with mental illness who act in a dangerous manner, but he wasn't no threat to them at all. I don't know who Officer Beth is, Brad. Officer Beth. I love her, he says. I don't know who that is, though. Let's see. Let's see what everybody has to say. Tracy McClellan, the lawyer, says he was not intoxicated. That's right. He had dementia. The hospital said it was confusion from dementia. And I saw an interview earlier with his wife. And he was there with his wife. And his wife she was beautiful. But she said that the condition he has, it is best for him to stay on a routine. So that's why they were at Walmart that day. She said he needed to stay on his routine, and he did really well as long as, he was able to do his routine. What are you doing there, Mommy? And so she took him to Walmart. She said she temporarily got lost from him because she had stopped to speak with a couple that was there in the store. They were in an aisle, and so she had stopped to speak to him, and he kind of wandered off. And she had no idea that this was happening until it was already over. So that's really, really sad. Oh, you don't want me to get peed off? Oh, really, big boy? I know. What you gonna do? You gonna pew me?
Huh. What am I missing?
Nothing. Shake my head wrong, I think is what Dana was saying. They are letting being a police go to their head. A lot of them do. A lot of them do. You know, I read that article about the chief of police in Whitesburg. They found him passed out in Taco Bell's drive-thru. He didn't get no charges. They didn't charge him. I think it said he was arrested that night, but he wasn't charged. He didn't have to go to court. They didn't have to dismiss the charges. He didn't have it on his record. It said that he went and had a closed meeting with James Wiley Craft, and nothing happened. Well, does that happen for everybody? If they caught me passed out in Taco Bell drive-thru, they wouldn't have given me a good talking to and let me go back to work. You know, those are the kinds of things we expect them to have better judgment and decision making. And if they're doing things like that, I mean, he's still the chief of police in Whitesburg, I'm pretty sure.
Well,
I was approached by a cop and did not believe they said bad things to you, as my brother said they did to him. I don't know if I understood that. I'm sorry that happened to you, Elizabeth. I've been there in that situation. It happens to everybody. Well, maybe not everybody, but it happens a whole lot more than what people want to believe. Always keep your doors locked, window only down enough to hand your license over. It's scary. You know, that woman, when we watched that news report last night, where the neighbors of Douglas Harless of the wrong address search warrant, his neighbors got up there and said on TV, or on the news, do you call the police when you need help? Are they going to come help me, or are they going to come unalive me? You know, every time that we've had to call the police, we question it. Should we call the police? That night we couldn't find Alan. I wasn't going to call the law. I just knew we hadn't found him yet. We needed to find him. My pastor's the one that called the law. My pastor said, well, I think we should call the police. And I was like, no, we ain't calling the police. He's here. We just ain't found him yet. And he kept on and kept on and kept on. And finally I agreed. I was like, okay, all right. He said, well, that's what you're supposed to do. You call the police when you need help. Well, he really regretted that afterwards, because him and his wife, my pastor and my pastor's wife, were there, and they witnessed everything that they did to me after that. And he regretted that greatly. And I think it taught him a lesson. It taught every single one of us a lesson, not to call the cops when you need help. And that's a bad thing for it to teach us. Tim Collins, of course, they fired him afterwards. I don't know which one you're talking about. I need to stay in Indiana because my mouth ain't going to make it in Kentucky.
Yeah.
It's about true.
I guess the smarter, so many people went up, migrated north
from here,
from Kentucky. Yeah. And they might have been the smarter ones. So she might have something there.
I called 911 and tell them I'm being pulled over, and that I want them to let the officer know that I'm not going to pull off until I get to a public area, because I do not feel safe. That's very smart, Miss Jessica. Because
can you do that?
Because usually I see it all the time on that people, if they don't feel safe, they tell you, if you don't feel safe, then wait until it's a lit area, a better lit area, and pull over. But how many times have we seen dash and body cam footage of people doing that very thing, and the officers just absolutely go nuts? So, that you didn't pull over when I said to. That's that power trip. I said, as soon as you saw my lights, you should have pulled over. That's what that woman was saying. That woman cop there. Didn't you see my lights?
Elizabeth.
Sorry. They don't have to be arrogant. Rick's pay all the time either. Until they hold the cops civilly responsible and their money's at stake, it will never change. Right now, the only thing that will happen is loss of job at the worst. Bugman 22, you hit that nail right on the head, didn't you, honey? Bad cops give good cops a bad name. Police do not have a hard job. Honoring the Constitution is not difficult. Well, doing what's right is usually not as difficult. But, now that I say that as I hear myself say that, I just have this thought in my head, like from church. Usually doing wrong is easier. Doing right is usually harder. Because you might have peer pressure, you might have all these different factors that add into it. Let's see. First time I seen the old sheriff shaking any shoes, when my father confronted him. Well, PJ Vision, thank you, honey. You got nominated to be on Turtle Island tonight. Well, we were already on there. Did we get kicked off? I don't know. Mama makes me laugh. She's so precious. Yes, I'm lucky I still got my mommy. I'm glad your father confronted him. Like I said, years later, I confronted the cop that did me like that, and he denied the whole thing. Of course they do, because they don't see it as we do. They don't see it like we do. We've got a completely different perspective as them. You got to remember, especially police officers who think that they are always right and they never make a mistake and they're never wrong. Elizabeth said, I'll go, but I'm going to sing about Jesus and loud enough for him to hear me in stereo. That's right. I did.
It was funny.
Staying in frog level. I've been in Indianapolis for 60 years, originally from Somerset, Kentucky.
Yep, part of that migration.
When they took me to jail.
Did they kick us off?
Sorry, y'all. I think I just lost mommy. Oh, I hit the wrong button on my mouse. I was over here digging around with my mouse and I hit the wrong button. She might come back. Yeah, I got quicker. Hillbilly crime, y'all. Can you see me? You don't see me? Been absent several days. Can y'all see me? Tim said he couldn't see me. Yeah. But yeah, okay. I got myself back on, but we lost Mommy. She thought that I closed her down. I don't even remember what I was saying, y'all. I'll go ahead and leave it for tonight. Policemen, let's see what this. Carol, policemen also don't know their own safety when they stop someone. It's a horrible limbo, needing hair-trigger decisions. When I see a traffic stop, especially after dark, I pray for safety of all. I put something on my TikTok not a few months ago. This state police officer. Now, he was really, really super nice. He had a great way of communicating. He really was kind, polite, soft-spoken. But he came to take my neighbor to jail. And so when he got her, he didn't search her. He didn't put handcuffs on her. He told her to put herself in the back seat. So you see, and I got it on video, you see her walking to the back seat or the back door of the state police cruiser. She opens it up and she just gets in, and he walks around and gets in the driver's seat, and he backs up and just pulls off. And I was like, you're joking, right? You're not going to search her? You're not going to put handcuffs on her? Nothing? You're just going to let her get herself in the car? Well, and I spoke to that officer later. He saw my TikTok. And I said, well, you know that's not policy. He said, well, she weighed about, 110 pounds? He said, I didn't see her as a threat. She wasn't a threat to me. Now, you know better than that. You know better than that. You know that people hide things on them. You know, especially users, drug users. You know, he let her go back in her house like 4 or 5 times without him going with her after he had already confirmed the warrant. I mean, there were things that he did, and it's not me picking on him, you know, like, let me just pick apart everything you do. No, that's against your own safety as a police officer. But he was a great man. Like, I really enjoyed talking to him. He was just pretty cool as a cucumber. But, you know, it's just not. When there are policies and procedures in place, they're there for a reason. You know, they're there for a reason. And so, you know, all accounted for a tater. Yeah, well, we'll see you all tomorrow. I've got a whole ton of stuff. But I just want to kind of make it go with the title, so that way people don't lose stuff. You know, they can find it under the right title. So we will see you guys back here tomorrow at 7 p.m. As usual. You stay blessed, stay warm, stay safe. Peace out, Girl Scout.